Imagine this, you give her everything. Your time, your money, your attention. You cancel plans with friends, answer every text within seconds, buy gifts, solve problems, and go out of your way to prove that you're the man she should choose. And then one day she's gone, cold, distant, already drifting towards someone else. You're left standing there, stunned, whispering to yourself, after everything I did, how could she just walk away? The truth, she didn't want what you thought she wanted. And that single realization has broken more men than betrayal itself. Because men are raised to believe that effort equals love, that loyalty equals respect, that gifts and sacrifice guarantee affection. But here's the brutal reality: attraction doesn't follow logic, it follows impact. And this video, this message isn't about blaming women. It's about waking men up. It's about peeling back the illusions and showing you why so many good, loyal, well-intentioned men are overlooked, used, and discarded, while the men who seem less nice are the ones she can't stop thinking about. Over the next few lessons, I'm going to walk you through truths that will make you uncomfortable, but also unshakable. You'll learn why effort without impact is wasted motion, why being her nice guy often makes you invisible, why seeking her validation weakens you in her eyes, and why mystery always beats consistency. You'll see why being needed is not the same as being wanted, and why emotional detachment, the ability to feel without being controlled, might just be your greatest superpower. But let me warn you, once you hear this, you can't unhear it. You'll start seeing these patterns everywhere, at work, in your friendships, in your relationships. You'll realize how many times you handed away your power, thinking it was love, and you'll never look at your interactions with women or with yourself the same way again. So stay with me until the end, because the lessons I'm about to share are not about manipulation or tricks. They're about reclaiming what's already yours: your presence, your standards, your peace of mind. This is Stoic Psychology at its rawest, designed for men who are ready to stop chasing and start leading. Are you ready to hear what no one else dares to tell you? Then let's begin. Think back to when you were a kid. You were told that hard work pays off, that if you put in the effort, whether it was on the field in school or at your first job, people would notice. Coaches would reward you, teachers would grade you higher, bosses would promote you. And in many areas of life, that logic holds true: effort equals progress. But here's the curveball: when it comes to attraction, that formula doesn't apply. Effort does not equal desire. You could do 1,000 things for a woman, and none of them will matter if she doesn't feel that spark. Desire is not born from your effort, it's born from your presence. It's born from confidence, energy, and the way you carry yourself when nothing is being given. And this is where so many good men get blindsided. Picture a guy, we'll call him Alex. Alex meets someone he really likes. He starts doing everything for her, driving across town to see her, sending flowers, texting her good morning and good night every single day. He's pouring his heart into showing her that he's serious, that he's dependable. But instead of being drawn closer, she starts to feel something strange. She feels suffocated. She starts wondering, why is he trying so hard? Doesn't he have his own life? Now let's flip it. Another guy, let's call him Daniel. Daniel likes her too, but his approach is different. He shows interest, sure, but he doesn't smother. He doesn't rush to prove himself. He has his own rhythm, his own priorities. He texts her, but not every 5 minutes. He's present, but he's not predictable. And you know what happens? She feels a pull toward him. She's curious. She thinks about him when he's not around. That curiosity turns into attraction. Here's the lesson: effort without impact is wasted motion. You're not being judged by how much you do, but by how you make her feel. Now, if you're listening to this and feeling a little sting, you're not alone. I've been there myself. I used to think the more I gave, the more I'd be appreciated, but life and Stoicism taught me differently. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Notice he didn't say, "Do more things for others so they'll reward you." He said simply, "Be." Presence is more powerful than effort. When you're present, truly present, you don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to send a dozen texts or bend your schedule around her. Your energy speaks for itself. Think about a mountain. It doesn't chase attention. It just is. And yet people are drawn to it. People climb it. People photograph it because it has presence. A man grounded in himself carries that same kind of gravity. Here's the hard truth: if effort alone worked, every nice guy would be married by now. But attraction doesn't work like customer loyalty points. You don't accumulate enough good deeds to redeem her love. That mindset is transactional, and relationships, at least the real ones, are never transactional. The reason effort backfires is because unconsciously it communicates need. If you're overgiving, she doesn't just see your kindness, she senses your hunger. She sees that you're waiting for her response to feel validated. And neediness is like smoke. It fills the room whether you say it out loud or not. I remember a friend of mine who was constantly in this cycle. Every time he met someone, he went into overdrive planning elaborate dates, buying expensive gifts, rearranging his life for her schedule. And every single time the same thing happened, she lost interest. One day I asked him, "Why do you try so hard so fast?" And his answer was, "Because I want her to see that I'm different from other guys." But here's the twist: by trying to prove he was different, he was acting exactly like every other guy who didn't understand attraction. He was competing in the wrong arena. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control. You cannot control her desire. You cannot control her attraction. What you can control is your own energy, your own presence, your own willingness to stand tall without leaning too heavily on her reaction. Think of Epictetus. He said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That's the blueprint. Don't explain how valuable you are through endless gestures. Don't perform your worth, embody it, live it. Now, I'm not saying stop doing kind things. Kindness is noble. Effort matters in relationships that are already built on mutual attraction and respect. But in the early stages, or when the energy isn't mutual, your effort doesn't create desire. It often kills it. If this is sinking in, you might be asking yourself, so what do I do instead? The answer is simple but not easy. You live. You build a life that excites you, that challenges you, that fulfills you. You invest in your growth, your discipline, your mission. And then when someone enters that orbit, they don't fall for your effort, they fall for the gravity of who you are. So the next time you're tempted to prove yourself by giving more, pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this to express who I am, or am I doing this to be chosen? If it's the latter, step back. Because the moment you start chasing desire through effort, you lose the very thing that makes you magnetic, your presence. And that, my friend, is the first truth every man needs to hear. There's something most men never realize until it's too late. She doesn't fall in love with the man who gives her the most. She falls for the man who makes her feel the most. Read that again. It's not about the things you hand her, the time you sacrifice, or the money you spend. It's about the emotions you awaken in her when she's around you. A lot of men confuse generosity with attraction. They think if they keep giving, buying dinners, remembering anniversaries, planning everything down to the smallest detail, she'll eventually see their value and reward them with love. But here's the uncomfortable truth: what you give doesn't matter if it doesn't move her emotionally. It's like music. A technically perfect performance can still leave the audience unmoved, while a raw, imperfect song can leave people in tears. Relationships work the same way. It's not the perfection of your actions that creates desire. It's the resonance of your presence. Now, why is this important? Because women don't crave comfort as much as they crave aliveness. When she feels like she has all the control, when she knows you'll bend at every request, when she senses there's no edge, no tension, no spark, she gets bored. And boredom is the silent killer of attraction. Let me share a story. Years ago, I knew a man, we'll call him Chris. Chris was the textbook good guy. He always made sure his girlfriend had everything she needed. He handled the bills planned, the vacations, even did the laundry before she asked. He thought he was creating the perfect relationship, but over time she pulled away. She told him she felt disconnected. That word haunted him. How could she feel disconnected when he was doing so much? The answer: she wasn't feeling anything. He had given her certainty but not emotion. She had comfort but no fire. Contrast that with another man I once met, an older mentor of mine. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't rich, but he carried himself with presence. When he spoke, you leaned in. When he was silent, you still felt him in the room. He wasn't reckless, but he was unpredictable in a way that kept people curious. And guess what? Women respected and adored him, not because of what he gave, but because of how they felt when they were near him, seen stirred alive. That's the difference. You can provide for someone without pleasing them emotionally. Those are two different games. And this is where Stoic psychology gives us an edge. The Stoics understood that real influence isn't about force, it's about presence. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In relationships, it's not what you give her, but how your presence reacts to life, to her, to challenges. That's what she feels. That's what she remembers. Now let's get practical. What does emotional impact look like? Tension, not the kind that leads to endless arguments, but the kind that keeps things alive. A playful disagreement, a challenge, a moment where you stand your ground instead of nodding along. Curiosity, you don't reveal everything about yourself at once. You let her discover you layer by layer. You let your actions speak louder than words. Unpredictability, not chaos, but rhythm. Sometimes you're available, sometimes you're not because you're busy building your life. That space creates anticipation. When she doesn't know exactly what you'll say next or what you'll do tomorrow, her mind engages. She leans forward. She feels something. Men often make the mistake of thinking predictability equals love. They send the same text every morning, plan the same dinners, say the same words. But predictability is safe, not stirring. It gives her comfort, not attraction. Think of your favorite movie. Would you watch it again and again if you already knew every single line, every plot twist? Maybe once or twice, but eventually you'd stop. Desire thrives on contrast, on surprise, on the unknown. Women aren't different. They don't want to feel like they've solved you completely. They want a man who carries enough depth that she's still discovering him even years later. Here's where many men fall into the trap. They think emotional engagement means being dramatic, moody, or manipulative. That's not what I'm saying. Real impact is calm but powerful. It's the ability to stand in silence when she's upset instead of panicking. It's the ability to say no when you mean it instead of folding to keep the peace. It's the willingness to walk away when your values are crossed instead of begging to stay. That energy, calm, unshakable, rooted, creates emotional power. And that's what she responds to. Because deep down, she doesn't want to control you. She wants to feel you. She wants to sense that she's with a man who's not afraid to hold his ground, not afraid to create tension, not afraid to let silence do the talking. If you've ever felt a relationship lose its spark, ask yourself, was I giving her everything except the one thing that matters most, emotional impact? Was I offering certainty when what she craved was aliveness? When you understand this, you stop wasting energy trying to be the perfect provider, and you start being the presence that changes the room. That's the kind of man she remembers. That's the kind of man she doesn't forget. Every man has heard the advice at some point. Just be nice to her, be kind, be respectful, and she'll see your value. On paper, it sounds right. After all, kindness is good, respect is good, generosity is good. But here's the paradox in the realm of attraction. Being the nice guy often doesn't get you chosen. It gets you used. Let's be brutally honest here. The nice guy is the backup plan. He's the one she knows will always answer the phone, always listen when she vents, always be there when things fall apart. He's the emotional safety net, not the man she truly desires. Think about it. You've probably seen this play out, maybe even lived it yourself. You're there for her at midnight when she's crying about the boyfriend who hurt her. You drive her to work when her car breaks down. You cover the little favors, the emotional gaps, the supportive words. And in your heart, you think if only she could see how I treat her, she'd realize I'm the one. But she doesn't, and she won't. Because niceness without edge doesn't ignite attraction, it smothers it. Why is that? Because attraction is built on polarity. It needs tension, it needs challenge, it needs a spark that moves her emotionally. When you're too predictable, too accommodating, too agreeable, you remove the very thing that keeps her curious. Let me paint a picture. Imagine two men. One of them, let's call him Jason, is endlessly kind. He says yes to everything. He never disagrees, never challenges her, never risks upsetting her. He's the perfect listener, always waiting for his chance, hoping one day she'll wake up and realize how sweet he is. But that day never comes. Instead, she leans on him emotionally while chasing excitement elsewhere. Now, the other man, we'll call him Marcus. He's kind too, but with boundaries. He listens, but he doesn't let himself become her therapist. He's present, but he doesn't bend his entire schedule around her moods. And when she pushes, he pushes back, not to hurt her, but to remind her he has a spine. That man commands respect, and respect is the root of attraction. This is where most nice guys go wrong. They think avoiding tension makes them safe, but what it really makes them is invisible. Because women don't crave safety alone. They crave the feeling of being moved, challenged, awakened. A man who never risks saying no will never create that feeling. Now, I'm not saying kindness is bad. Stoicism itself teaches us compassion, justice, and virtue. But virtue without strength isn't attractive, it's charity. And in a relationship, you don't want to be seen as a charity project. You want to be seen as a man. Marcus Aurelius didn't beg for validation. He didn't mold himself into whatever others wanted him to be. He held his ground quietly, firmly, consistently. And because of that, people respected him, even his enemies. That's the kind of energy women respond to. Here's something that might sting when she tells you, "You're such a good guy, you're always there for me." But she's texting another man she actually desires. You've already lost the game. You've been filed under safe but not magnetic. And once you're in that folder, it's almost impossible to climb out. Why? Because you've taught her something without realizing it. You've taught her that your attention is unconditional, that you'll always be there no matter how little she invests. And what people don't earn, they don't value. Let's step back and look at this through a Stoic lens. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The nice guy reacts by giving more whenever he feels distance. He panics at the first sign of withdrawal and doubles down on effort, hoping kindness will fill the gap. But that reaction makes him look weaker, needier, and less grounded. The man who understands Stoicism reacts differently. He doesn't chase when she pulls back. He doesn't erase his own standards to keep her comfortable. Instead, he remains steady-centered, rooted in his own value. And that steadiness creates polarity. It separates him from the crowd of men begging to be noticed. Here's a painful but necessary truth. The more predictable you are, the less she sees you. If she knows you'll say yes every time, if she knows you'll never walk away, if she knows you'll always orbit her life like a satellite, then you stop being a man she respects and start being a convenience she manages. And nobody desires what they can manage. If you've ever been the guy she vents to about her real boyfriend, you know this firsthand. You sit there nodding, offering advice, secretly hoping she'll realize how much better you are. But deep down, you feel it, that sinking recognition that you're not the one she's dreaming about. You're the one she's leaning on until she finds him. So what's the shift? It's not about becoming cold or arrogant. It's about rediscovering your edge. It's about being kind but not spineless, available but not desperate, respectful but not afraid of conflict. It's about living by the principle Marcus Aurelius wrote centuries ago, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." When your ambition is only to please her, you lose your worth in her eyes. When your ambition is to live a life of strength, direction, and clarity, she either rises to meet you or she falls away. And either outcome is a win. The truth is, women don't reject nice guys because they're nice. They reject them because niceness without backbone feels hollow. It lacks polarity. It lacks the kind of gravity that makes her lean in instead of lean away. So if you've been caught in the trap of being the good guy who waits in the wings, this is your wake-up call. Stop orbiting. Stop waiting for recognition. Stop trying to earn love through compliance. Live as if you are the sun in your own universe, not a satellite around hers. When you shift from being a fallback to being a focus, from being tolerated to being respected, everything changes. And that's when you stop being the nice guy and start being the man she remembers. There's another trap that good men fall into, and it's even more subtle than the nice guy problem. It's the craving for validation. We all like being appreciated. A compliment feels good. Recognition feels good. Being told you matter feels good. But when your sense of worth depends on hearing those things from her, you've crossed a dangerous line. You're no longer receiving validation, you're begging for it. And nothing drains attraction faster than a man who begs for reassurance. You know this feeling. That pit in your stomach when she doesn't reply to a text right away. That anxious question, "Are you mad at me?" when she goes quiet. That urge to explain yourself too much just to make sure she doesn't misunderstand. Those moments when you say sorry for things you didn't even do wrong just so she won't pull away. Every time you do this, you think you're saving the connection. But what you're really doing is teaching her something that you don't see yourself as enough unless she says so. And when she senses that something shifts deep inside, she stops looking up to you. She starts looking down. It's not that she consciously decides to lose respect, it's instinctive. A man who needs to be told he's valuable before he feels valuable is not leading, he's following. And following energy, no matter how polite or well-intentioned, is never attractive. I'll never forget a story from a man I once coached. He was dating a woman who, in his words, was out of his league. She was beautiful, charming, the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room. He felt lucky to have her, but also terrified of losing her. So he did what he thought was right. He constantly reminded her how amazing she was, asked if she was happy with him, and double-checked every little thing to make sure she wasn't upset. At first she smiled and reassured him, but slowly her tone changed. She got colder, shorter, less engaged. One day she told him, "I don't feel attracted to you anymore. I feel like I'm babysitting." It broke him, but it also woke him up. He realized his desperate search for reassurance had flipped the polarity. He had gone from man to boy, from partner to dependent. And here's the brutal truth: attraction can't survive in that imbalance. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, stop needing others to validate you. Be rooted enough in yourself that you don't flinch when people doubt you, misjudge you, or pull away. Because the man who is calm in the silence, who doesn't crumble when approval is withheld, that man has gravity. Let's be practical. How do you know if you're stuck in the validation trap? Watch for the little tells. Do you feel a jolt of anxiety when she takes too long to respond? Do you over-explain when you feel misunderstood? Do you find yourself tailoring your words just to keep her comfortable, even when it goes against what you really think? If so, you're giving away your center. You're outsourcing your worth to her reactions. But here's the good news: you can reclaim it. It starts with awareness. The next time you feel that itch for validation, catch it. Don't act on it. Don't send the needy text. Don't fill the silence with frantic words. Instead, pause. Ask yourself, what would the man I want to become do right now? Not the insecure boy, not the eager pleaser, the man. That pause, that small act of restraint, is where your power lives. I've seen it firsthand. A friend of mine went through a breakup that shattered him. For months, he was consumed with trying to win her back. Every message he sent, every post he made on social media was secretly crafted to get her attention, to draw out some response that would tell him he was still worth something. But she never responded. One day he came to me exhausted, and I told him something simple. She can't give you back what you already surrendered. You have to reclaim it yourself. It took him months, but he finally got it. He stopped posting for her. He stopped explaining himself. He stopped needing her eyes to define his worth. And slowly you could see the change. His posture shifted, his voice deepened. His presence grew heavier in the best way. And here's the irony: once he stopped seeking validation, women started noticing him again. Why? Because his energy was no longer needy. He wasn't asking for approval. He was living as if he already approved of himself. That's magnetic. Marcus Aurelius never begged anyone to validate him. He didn't write, "Make sure they see me as a good emperor." He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's the whole point. You don't become attractive by being seen. You become attractive by being. So here's the shift: stop fishing for compliments. Stop apologizing for your standards. Stop explaining every silence. When you do, she'll feel it. Your energy will shift from desperate to composed, from needy to magnetic. And even if she doesn't say a word, you'll know it. Because respect doesn't need to be announced, it's felt. Most men grow up hearing that women want dependability above all else. Just be consistent, they say. Show up every day, text her, "Good morning," always be there when she calls. Always keep her comfortable and she'll stay. It sounds logical, it even sounds noble. But here's the reality: consistency alone doesn't create desire. In fact, too much of it can quietly kill it. Think about the movies you love. What keeps you glued to the screen? It isn't knowing exactly what happens next, it's suspense, the not knowing, the tension. That's what makes your pulse rise. That's what pulls you in. Now imagine if the trailer spoiled every twist, every reveal, every moment of surprise. Would you still feel compelled to watch? Of course not. And yet that's exactly how so many men show up in relationships like trailers that reveal the whole film. Predictable, safe, consistent, but with no edge. When a woman knows exactly what you'll text, what you'll say, how you'll react, she stops feeling anything. It's not that she dislikes you. It's that her nervous system no longer lights up around you. Comfort without curiosity becomes monotony. And monotony is attraction's silent assassin. I once knew a guy, we'll call him Aaron, who prided himself on consistency. Every morning at 8:00 sharp, he texted his girlfriend, "Good morning, beautiful." Every evening, "Good night, sleep well." Every Friday, the same dinner date at the same restaurant. At first, she smiled. She said she appreciated his effort. But over time, her energy changed. She stopped replying with enthusiasm, stopped looking forward to Friday nights. Eventually, she ended things saying, "It just feels flat." Aaron was crushed. He thought consistency meant loyalty. But loyalty without polarity isn't love, it's routine. Now contrast that with another man I knew, let's call him David. David wasn't reckless, but he carried an air of unpredictability. Sometimes he'd send a message in the middle of the day that caught her off guard. Sometimes he'd plan a spontaneous outing instead of sticking to the routine. He didn't text constantly. Sometimes he was simply busy building his own life. And yet when he was with her, he was fully present, fully engaged. That balance, availability mixed with mystery, kept her invested. She thought about him when he wasn't around, wondered what he was doing, replayed his words in her mind. That curiosity became attraction. Mystery doesn't mean manipulation. It doesn't mean disappearing for days or playing cruel games. It means you don't reveal every part of yourself at once. It means you keep building your own world, your own passions, your own rhythm, and you invite her into it without making her the center of it. It means sometimes you step back not because you're punishing her, but because you're focused elsewhere. And that absence, that space, makes your presence more valuable when you return. The Stoics understood this perfectly. They weren't performers, they weren't desperate to be seen. They valued restraint, timing, and silence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Notice he didn't explain himself. He didn't rush to be understood. He embodied mystery through action, not constant words. That's what mystery is: restraint. The ability to hold back just enough to keep people leaning in. When you reveal everything, you give away your power. When you hold some things back, you create depth. Let me put it this way: a fire burns brightest when there's air between the logs. Without space, it suffocates. Relationships are no different. Space creates longing. Longing creates fire. But here's where most men get it wrong. They hear mystery and think it means withholding love or playing games. That's not it. Mystery isn't about being distant, it's about being layered. It's about knowing yourself deeply enough that she senses there's always more to discover. It's about living in such a way that she realizes your world doesn't revolve entirely around her, and that's exactly what makes her want to stay in it. If you've ever felt a relationship lose its spark, ask yourself, did I become too predictable? Did I give her everything on a platter, so there was nothing left to uncover? Did I mistake consistency for attraction? Consistency matters, but only in the right places. Be consistent in your values, your standards, your mission. Let her know you're grounded, steady, reliable when it comes to your integrity. But don't confuse that with being predictable in your every move. Predictable men fade into the background. Mysterious men stay sharp in her mind. So stop thinking your daily good morning texts and constant availability are the path to her heart. They may give her comfort, but comfort without desire is just friendship. What keeps her leaning in, what keeps her curious, what keeps her awake at night, replaying your voice is the mystery, the unanswered question, the sense that she hasn't fully figured you out. And here's the paradox: the less you try to prove yourself through constant consistency, the more she feels pulled toward you. Because she senses what every woman craves deep down, that you are a man with depth, not a man with a script. There's a mistake many men make once they finally get the woman they desire. Out of fear of losing her, they put her on a pedestal. Every action becomes praise. Every conversation turns into flattery. Every disagreement gets smoothed over just to keep her happy. They start treating her like a goddess who can do no wrong. On the surface, this looks romantic. You tell yourself, I'm showing her how much she means to me. But here's the hidden problem: she doesn't want worship. She wants to feel challenged. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how quickly a woman loses interest in the man who bows to her every demand? At first, she might enjoy the attention. She might smile at the compliments and bask in the pedestal you've built. But over time, the energy shifts. She begins to feel restless, even irritated. She starts testing him, pushing his boundaries, not because she's cruel, but because on some deep instinctive level, she wants to feel the strength of a man who won't collapse at the slightest breeze. When you worship her, you remove that polarity. You flatten the dynamic. You become soft where she needs you to be strong, agreeable where she needs you to be steady, apologetic where she needs you to be firm. And without even realizing it, she stops respecting you. And where there is no respect, attraction cannot survive. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, we'll call him Brian, once dated a woman he was completely enchanted by. She was stunning, intelligent, the kind of woman he thought was out of his league. From day one, he showered her with gifts, praised her constantly, and never once disagreed. If she said the sky was green, he nodded and said, "Yes, you're right." He thought this strategy would make her stay. Instead, she grew colder and eventually left. When he asked why, she said words he'll never forget. "I never felt like I knew the real you. You were just mirroring me." That's the cost of worship. It erases your presence. Now contrast Brian with another man I once observed, an older Stoic mentor of mine. He loved his wife deeply, but he never treated her like a flawless queen who could do no wrong. He respected her, admired her, but he also challenged her. If he disagreed, he said so calmly, without anger, but with clarity. If she pushed too far, he held his boundary without flinching. And you know what, she adored him for it. Not because he gave her endless praise, but because she knew she couldn't manipulate him. She respected his steadiness. She felt alive in his presence. This is what most men miss. Challenge doesn't mean conflict. It doesn't mean picking fights or nagging just to prove strength. Real challenge is energetic. It's the unspoken message: I see you, I love you, but I will not lose myself for you. It's telling her, I hear you, but I disagree, without fear of rejection. It's saying no when she expects yes, not to punish her, but to remind her that your standards are not negotiable. It's holding steady when she storms emotionally instead of rushing to please. That's what challenge looks like, and that's what inspires respect. Stoicism sharpens this point beautifully. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, "Flatter those who matter." He said, "Waste no more time worrying about what others think of you." A Stoic man doesn't hand over his principles just to keep peace. He lives by them, and in doing so, he creates an energy that naturally challenges the world, including the woman he loves. Here's the irony: many men think worship will keep her close, when in reality it pushes her away. But challenge, the right kind of challenge, pulls her closer. Why? Because it activates her instinct for growth. It makes her feel alive. It reminds her she's with someone who sees her clearly, flaws and all, and still stands firm. Think of it like climbing a mountain. If the path is too easy, it's forgettable. But when the climb challenges you, when it tests your strength and endurance, you remember it forever. A relationship is the same. Without challenge, there is no fire. Without fire, there is no respect. So ask yourself honestly, have I been worshiping when I should have been challenging? Have I been erasing my voice just to keep her comfortable? Have I been molding myself around her, hoping that endless praise will make her stay? If so, this is your wake-up call. Stop shrinking. Stop kneeling at the altar of her approval. Stop trying to buy permanence with worship. She doesn't want a fan, she wants a force. And the beauty of this truth is liberating. You don't need to perform. You don't need to flatter endlessly. You don't need to erase yourself. You only need to be grounded enough to hold your space, to challenge when it matters, to stand tall, even when it shakes the ground beneath you. When you do, she respects you. When she respects you, she desires you. And when she desires you, the connection doesn't burn out, it evolves. So remember this: worship leads to boredom. Challenge leads to respect. And respect is the soil where real attraction grows. There's a dangerous illusion that traps a lot of men. It's the belief that if she needs you, she'll stay. That if you're the one who fixes her problems, lifts her when she falls, and becomes her safety net in life, she'll never let you go. On the surface, it feels noble, even masculine. But here's the truth: being needed is not the same as being wanted. Need is about survival. Desire is about choice. And those two energies couldn't be more different. I once knew a man named Eric who built his entire relationship on being needed. His girlfriend was going through a rough time: financial problems, family drama, emotional breakdowns. He stepped in like a knight in shining armor, paid her bills, gave her a place to stay, and became her emotional therapist day after day. And for a while, she clung to him. He felt important. He felt chosen. But the moment her life stabilized, when she got her job back, her family issues calmed, and she found her footing, her feelings shifted. She didn't need him anymore. And without that dependency, she realized she didn't truly want him either. That's the sting of confusing need with desire. When someone needs you, it means you serve a purpose in their story. When someone wants you, it means you are the story. Think back on your own life. Have you ever been there for someone through chaos only to watch them drift away once the storm passed? It hurts. But if you're honest deep down, you knew the truth. They weren't choosing you for who you were. They were leaning on you for what you provided. And that kind of attachment is fragile. Here's where Stoicism cuts through the fog. The Stoics teach us to seek clarity, not comfort. And clarity means facing the brutal reality that being someone's emotional crutch is not the same as being their partner. Marcus Aurelius didn't write, "Find people who need you to feel strong." He wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look there." The real strength of a man doesn't come from rescuing others to feel valuable. It comes from being rooted in himself so that his presence is magnetic, not transactional. Here's the shift: when a woman wants you, she reaches for you, even when her life is stable. She seeks your presence not because you're solving a crisis, but because she's drawn to who you are. She values your thoughts when she's not broken. She comes closer when she has space. That's the difference between need and desire. Let me give you another example. Years ago, I met a couple who had been married for decades. The wife was strong, independent, capable. She didn't need her husband to survive. She was more than capable of standing on her own. But she still chose him every single day. Why? Because he didn't build his identity on being her fixer. He built his identity on being a man of presence, direction, and calm strength. She wasn't clinging to him out of fear. She was leaning toward him out of love. That's the kind of connection every man should aim for. But many men fall into the opposite trap. They seek out women who are unstable, chaotic, or wounded because in that chaos they feel useful. They feel like the hero. And while that may feel empowering in the short term, it always collapses in the long run. Because when her storm passes, so does her attachment. So ask yourself, am I being valued for who I am or for what I provide? Am I wanted or just needed? And here's the hard truth: if your worth depends on being needed, you'll spend your life chasing broken people. You'll keep stepping into chaos because that's where you feel valuable. But that isn't strength, it's addiction. An addiction to usefulness. The Stoic path offers a way out. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery means you no longer seek identity in someone else's lack. You no longer build relationships on the shaky ground of dependency. Instead, you stand as a whole man, rooted, complete. And from that wholeness, others are drawn to you, not because they need you, but because they want you. Think of the difference like this: if she clings to you because she's drowning, the moment she learns to swim, she'll let go. But if she walks beside you on solid ground because she desires your presence, she'll keep choosing you even when the waters are calm. So the next time you find yourself stepping into the role of savior, pause. Ask, am I doing this because it aligns with my values or because I need to feel important? If it's the latter, step back. Because you don't want to be the man she survives with, you want to be the man she thrives with. And here's the beautiful paradox: when you stop trying to be needed, you actually become more wanted. Because now you're not grasping at brokenness to define yourself. You're living with strength, with standards, with presence. You're not chasing dysfunction, you're attracting desire. Be the mountain, not the crutch. A crutch is useful until healing comes. A mountain is awe-inspiring forever. One of the most powerful shifts a man can make in relationships is learning the art of restraint. Not coldness, not distance, but calm, non-reaction. Because here's a paradox that most men never learn: the less you react, the more she feels. Now, this might sound strange at first. We're often told that emotional availability means always responding quickly, always validating, always smoothing things over, so she never feels uncertain. But here's what really happens. When you rush to react, you don't create security, you create sameness. You don't stir emotion, you smother it. Think of it like a drum. The sound doesn't come from constant contact, it comes from the space between the strikes. Attraction works the same way. The space, the pause, the silence, that's what creates tension. That's what keeps her engaged. Let me give you an example. A man I once worked with, we'll call him Daniel, was constantly reacting to his girlfriend's moods. If she got quiet, he panicked. "Are you mad? Did I do something wrong?" If she didn't text back right away, he fired off follow-ups. Hey, are you there? Did I say something? His intentions were good. He didn't want her to feel neglected. But his constant reactivity drained the relationship. She started to feel like she was the one leading emotionally, and that's the moment she began losing attraction. Now contrast that with another man I knew named Elijah. When his partner pulled back emotionally, he didn't chase. He stayed calm. If she needed space, he gave it without drama or accusation. If she tested his frame with attitude, he didn't explode or grovel. He simply listened, responded when necessary, and carried on with composure. And you know what happened? She leaned in. She couldn't stop thinking about him because his calm created polarity. His restraint made her feel, why does this work? Because women test men not consciously to be manipulative, but instinctively. They want to know, can I shake him? Can I move him? Can I pull him out of his center? If the answer is yes, if every silence, every mood swing, every withdrawal pulls you into panic, then she loses respect. You stop being the rock and start being another wave in her emotional ocean. But if the answer is no, if you remain steady, thoughtful, calm, her energy shifts. She feels tension in the best way. She wonders what you're thinking. She feels drawn toward your gravity. This doesn't mean you shut down. It doesn't mean you become a robot. It means you cultivate what the Stoics called ataraxia, inner tranquility, the ability to remain unshaken in the middle of storms. Marcus Aurelius put it beautifully. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your non-reaction isn't about ignoring her. It's about refusing to hand over your emotional steering wheel. It's about letting silence do some of the talking. And in that silence, she begins to feel the depth of your presence. Think about the men you admire most. Leaders, mentors, warriors. They're not the ones who lash out at every provocation. They're not the ones who scramble to fix every mood in the room. They're the ones who breathe, observe, and act deliberately. And that energy is magnetic. Here's a practical exercise. The next time she tests you, maybe she pulls away. Maybe she gets short. Maybe she throws out a sarcastic jab. Notice your first impulse. Usually it's to react, to chase, to argue, to apologize, to explain. Instead, pause. Take one breath. Ask yourself, what would the grounded version of me do right now? Then act from that place. That single breath can save you from weeks of regret. Because here's the truth, every time you overreact, you train her to see you as shaky. And every time you stay calm, you train her to see you as solid. Over time, that consistency builds respect, and respect builds attraction. I remember once sitting in a cafe watching a couple nearby. The woman was clearly upset, raising her voice, throwing passive-aggressive remarks. Most men would have matched her tone or scrambled to calm her down. But this man just sat there sipping his coffee, listening quietly. When she finished, he looked at her calmly and said, "I hear you. Take your time." The energy in the room shifted instantly. Her tone softened. Her body language changed. She leaned in instead of leaning away. That's the power of restraint. The less you react, the more she feels, not because you're manipulating her, but because your calm creates space. And in that space, curiosity lives. Desire lives. She begins to wonder what's going on in your mind because you're not spilling every thought in desperation. She starts to lean toward your silence because your stillness speaks louder than frantic words ever could. So ask yourself, have I been too reactive? Have I been letting her moods dictate my center? Have I been giving away my power with every anxious text, every unnecessary apology, every over-explanation? If so, it's time to stop. Be the eye in the storm. Be the calm in the chaos. Because when you stop being easy to provoke, you become impossible to forget. There's a truth most men avoid because it stings too much to face. When something is given too easily, it's rarely valued. That's not just about relationships, it's about human nature. We don't treasure what comes without effort. We treasure what we have to earn. And this applies directly to how a woman sees you. If she doesn't have to earn you, she won't value you. Think about the last time you worked hard for something. Maybe it was a degree, a promotion, a skill you practiced for years. The struggle made it meaningful. Now compare that to something handed to you for free. It might have been nice at first, but did you really respect it the same way? Probably not. Relationships are no different. Here's where so many men go wrong. Out of eagerness, they give everything up front. Their time, their energy, their attention, even their self-respect. They place her above their own goals, rearrange their schedule to fit hers, shower her with affection before she's even proven she deserves it. And at first she may accept it, but deep inside something shifts. She files him under, always available, always there, always mine. And once that label sticks, the attraction fades. I knew a man once, we'll call him Paul, who embodied this mistake. He fell hard for a woman after just a few weeks. He immediately started treating her like she was the center of his world, canceling gym sessions, skipping time with friends, blowing off work deadlines just to be at her beck and call. To him, it felt like devotion. To her, it felt like he was on sale. She didn't have to invest, didn't have to contribute, didn't have to step up. He was already all in. And because of that, she lost interest. Now compare that to another man I knew. His name was Michael. Michael valued his time. He liked her, he showed it, but he didn't give his entire life away for the chance of her approval. She had to invest too. She had to show up, contribute, and meet him with equal energy. And you know what happened? She respected him. She valued him because she had to earn him. This doesn't mean playing games. It doesn't mean acting distant just to manipulate her. It means having standards. Standards for who gets your time, your energy, your commitment. Standards for what kind of behavior you'll accept and what kind you won't. And this is where Stoicism shines again. The Stoics live by principle, not by approval. They didn't chase people's attention. They didn't hand themselves over cheaply. Epictetus taught, know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. That's another way of saying know your worth and don't hand it out to anyone who hasn't earned it. When you live this way, something powerful happens. Your presence shifts. You stop being the man who's begging to be chosen, and you start being the man who chooses. Women feel that energy instantly. They sense that you're not available by default, that your attention has weight and weight demands respect. And respect is what keeps attraction alive. Ask yourself this, am I making her earn my presence? Or am I giving it away freely, hoping she'll finally see my worth? Am I living with standards, or am I lowering myself just to keep her comfortable? Because here's the hard reality: if she doesn't have to work for you in some way, if she doesn't have to step up, be consistent, invest, or grow, then she won't truly value you. And when she doesn't value you, she can't desire you. I've seen men complain, but I gave her everything. I did so much for her. How could she walk away? The answer is painful but clear, because she never had to give anything back. She never had to earn it, and people don't hold on to what costs them nothing. Here's the shift. Start treating your attention like it matters, because it does. Stop being the man who gives it away in bulk, hoping it'll buy affection. Be the man whose attention is rare, intentional, and earned. Be the man whose presence is a reward, not a consolation prize. When you live this way, you won't need to chase validation. You won't need to beg for loyalty, because the women who step into your life will feel at your value, your standards, your gravity. And those who don't measure up will fall away. That's not a loss, it's a filter. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Apply that to your relationships. If she's not showing up with respect, don't give her the intimacy of your time. If she's not investing, don't reward her with effort. Because once you understand this, you stop fearing rejection. You realize rejection isn't failure, it's just clarity. It shows you who was never willing to earn you in the first place, and that frees you to stand taller, calmer, more powerful. So remember this, if she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. Don't give yourself away cheaply. Be the man who sets the bar, not the man who lowers it. Be the prize, not the default. And watch how differently the world responds. There's a word that makes some men uncomfortable because they misunderstand it: detachment. They think detachment means shutting down, being cold, refusing to feel anything. But that's not true. Real detachment is not numbness. It's strength. It's the ability to feel deeply without being ruled by those feelings. And in relationships, it may be the most powerful skill a man can develop. Why? Because the moment your emotions are hooked on her reactions, her texts, her moods, her approval, you've given her the keys to your center. And when she senses that the dynamic shifts, she's no longer drawn to your strength, she feels burdened by your weakness. But when you are emotionally detached, not in the sense of not caring, but in the sense of not being controlled, you become magnetic. You become the eye in the storm, calm, steady, impossible to shake. Think of it like this. Imagine two men. The first one reacts instantly to everything she does. If she pulls back, he panics. If she's moody, he scrambles to fix it. If she goes quiet, he floods her with texts until she responds. He thinks this shows devotion, but all it shows is fear. Now picture the second man. His partner pulls back and he stays steady. She tests his boundaries and he doesn't fold. She grows distant, and instead of begging, he remains calm. He feels the sting, sure, but he doesn't let it control him. He continues his rhythm, his mission, his life. And in doing so, he communicates something powerful without saying a word: I am whole with or without you. That's emotional detachment. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He was talking about exactly this, the ability to remain rooted even when the world, or in our case, a relationship, shifts unpredictably. Here's the paradox: the man who needs her love to feel whole will never truly earn her respect. But the man who can love her deeply while still being able to walk away, he's the one she can't forget. Because she knows she doesn't own him. She knows he chooses her, not clings to her. And choice is far more powerful than need. Let me share a story. A man I once counseled, we'll call him Adam, was devastated after his girlfriend broke up with him. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, checked his phone every 5 minutes hoping for a message. His entire identity had been tied to her validation, and when she walked away, he felt like nothing. Over time, through practice, Adam learned the principle of detachment. He started rebuilding his routines, focusing on his health, his career, his friendships. He still felt the ache. He wasn't pretending not to care, but he stopped letting that ache control his actions. He stopped chasing, stopped begging, stopped spiraling. Months later, something unexpected happened. His ex reached out. But by then, Adam had changed. He wasn't needy anymore. He wasn't waiting to be chosen. He was already whole. Whether she stayed or left again didn't matter. He was steady. And that steadiness transformed him into a man who could never be broken the same way twice. That's the gift of detachment. Now let's be clear, detachment doesn't mean shutting her out. It doesn't mean withholding love. It doesn't mean acting cold. Real detachment means you love fully, but your peace is not for sale. You feel deeply, but you don't crumble when feelings shift. You're engaged, but not enslaved. How do you build this? Through practice. Every time you resist the urge to send a desperate text, you're training detachment. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of rushing to fix it, you're training detachment. Every time you breathe through rejection without losing yourself, you're sharpening your edge. The Stoics train this every day. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because he knew freedom comes from not being controlled by other people's opinions. The same applies in relationships. Freedom comes from not being controlled by her moods. So here's the shift. Instead of asking, "How do I keep her?" start asking, "How do I keep myself?" Because when you stop handing your center away, you become stronger than any storm. And here's the irony: the more detached you are, the more she feels. Because your calm creates polarity, your restraint creates tension, your steadiness creates attraction. She can sense that she can't move you like every other man, and that difference makes her lean in. So remember, this emotional detachment is not about rejecting love. It's about protecting your peace. It's about being a man whose worth doesn't rise and fall with someone else's attention. A man who can walk away, not because he doesn't care, but because he refuses to abandon himself. That's the kind of man women respect. That's the kind of man people remember. And that's the kind of man Stoicism trains us to be: grounded, steady, impossible to shake. Because in the end, it's not about her, it's about you. The man you choose to be when no one's clapping. The man you remain when she tests you. The man who stays whole no matter who stays or who leaves. And that, my friend, is your superpower. If you've stayed with me through this entire message, it means something important. You're not just curious, you're ready. Ready to hear the truths that most men avoid. Ready to look in the mirror without excuses. Ready to face the uncomfortable lessons that separate boys from men. Let's step back and connect the dots. We began with the hard truth that effort does not equal desire. You can give the world to a woman and still lose her because attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. Then we explored why what she really craves isn't your constant presence, but the emotional impact of your presence. Not how much you do, but how you make her feel. From there, we shattered the myth of the nice guy. Niceness without backbone isn't strength, it's invisibility. A man who avoids all tension, who says yes to everything, ends up being tolerated, not treasured. And that set the stage for the next trap: validation. Chasing her approval only proves that you lack your own. Respect and attraction fade the moment you beg to be told you're enough. We then turn to one of the most counterintuitive truths: mystery beats consistency. Not because reliability is bad, but because predictability kills desire. Attraction thrives in tension, in curiosity, in space. Too much routine suffocates the spark. Then we uncovered why worship backfires. She doesn't want a fan, she wants a force. She doesn't crave endless praise, she craves a man strong enough to challenge her, to hold his ground, to meet her as an equal. And from there, we tackled the painful distinction between being needed and being wanted. Dependency may make you feel important, but it is not the same as being chosen. True desire comes when you're valued for who you are, not just what you provide. Next, we saw the power of restraint. The less you react, the more she feels. Your calm, your composure, your non-reaction creates space for her to lean in. Reactivity screams weakness. Stillness radiates strength. And then we faced one of the most brutal lessons: if she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. What's given too easily is taken for granted. A man without standards becomes a man without value. But when your presence is earned, it becomes treasured. Finally, we arrived at the crown jewel: emotional detachment. Not numbness, not coldness, but mastery. The ability to feel without being ruled, to love without losing yourself, to care deeply while protecting your peace. That's not avoidance, it's power. Put together, these lessons form a philosophy not just of attraction, but of manhood. Because at the core, this isn't about women at all. It's about you. The man you choose to be when no one is watching. The man you become when you stop begging to be chosen, stop handing away your power, and start living from the inside out. And this is where Stoicism offers us a map. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. They weren't writing about dating apps or modern relationships. They were writing about life, about mastery, about inner strength. Yet their wisdom applies perfectly to what we face today. Because human nature hasn't changed. We still crave respect. We still seek meaning. We still lose ourselves chasing validation. And the remedy is the same now as it was then: disciplined presence, principled calm. A Stoic man doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't collapse under pressure. He doesn't orbit another person's life like a satellite. He builds his own world, his own rhythm, his own gravity. And because of that, people are drawn to him, not out of need, but out of desire. So ask yourself, which man are you becoming? The one who chases approval, overgives, worships, and reacts? Or the one who lives with presence, standards, mystery, and calm? The first man is common. He's everywhere. He's forgettable. The second man is rare. He's respected. He's desired. He's remembered. And here's the challenge: becoming that second man takes work. It takes practice. It takes moments of silence where you resist the urge to chase. It takes boundaries where you once bent. It takes letting go of women who only need you so you can attract women who truly want you. It takes emotional discipline, the willingness to feel everything but not be ruled by anything. But that's the path. That's the way forward. And if you choose it, everything changes. So as we close, let me leave you with this: stop asking how to win her over. Start asking how to win yourself back. Because once you reclaim your presence, your standards, your calm, and your power, you'll stop chasing and you'll start leading. You'll stop trying to be chosen and you'll become impossible to ignore. That's the Stoic way. And that's the path of a man who not only attracts respect in relationships, but earns respect in every area of life. If this resonated with you, if you felt something shift inside as you listened, don't just nod and move on. Take action, reflect. Comment below with the part that hit you hardest. Share this with a brother who needs to hear it. And if you're serious about building yourself into the kind of man who is unshakable, subscribe to Stoic Focus. This channel is for men like you, men who are done performing, done begging, done shrinking. Men who are ready to embody presence, strength, and calm. Because in the end, this isn't about her. It's about you, the man you choose to be, the man you're becoming, the man who, no matter who stays or leaves, remains whole. Stay grounded, stay disciplined, stay unshakable. And remember, never hand your power to anyone.